Hello, everyone. I'm Jack Fisher, and welcome to my world. And I freely admit that I am not an expert on much in this world. I honestly don't consider myself exceptionally smart on matters that don't involve superhero comics, football stats, and quality romance stories. And I make that disclaimer because I don't want to give the impression that I know more than I know. I feel like that perspective is important, especially if you're going to talk about complicated issues with not so clear solutions. I do attempt to talk about some of those issues on this channel, if only to offer something different than takes on comics, cartoons, movies, and football. But I want those discussions to be engaging and enlightening. So to that end, I'd like to offer something on a subject that I've touched on before, namely advanced artificial intelligence. But I promise, this is not another doomsday scenario. In fact, it's the opposite. Rather than obsess over how advanced artificial intelligence might destroy us, I want to focus on how it can help us prosper. Now, ignore the killer robots and apocalyptic futures for once. Let's focus on how artificial intelligence can help us as a tool for society, and ultimately live fulfilling, productive lives without having to toil 12 hours a day in a factory or a field. Now, it's not an impossible scenario. It's actually a trend that we've been seeing for years now. More and more these days, tasks are being automated. From bank tellers to checkout clerks and possibly even truck drivers in the near future, machines are taking over, but in a good way. And when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, it revealed just how much work we can get done from our own homes. And despite some efforts to reverse that, I suspect that trend is here to stay. I also expect it to bring many problems, especially for those who struggle to find the kind of good-paying blue-collar jobs that have historically helped people rise out of poverty. This is a serious issue, and turning back the clock or just trying to ban automation at a certain point is not a viable solution. Like it or not, we will have to adapt, and that includes changing how we live, work, and play. Now, the living and playing parts have their own set of unique challenges, but I think the work aspect is a lot more pressing. When most people express concerns about automation and AI, they revolve largely around the economic impact. And that's entirely understandable. Historically, people have had to work in order to earn money or resources to survive. Whether you're a peasant farmer in the 10th century or a factory worker in the 20th, this dynamic has remained fairly consistent. But automation is likely to completely upend that dynamic. It's very possible that, at some point this century, we'll develop machines that can do practically all the work humans have done in order to survive. That work includes but isn't limited to farming our food, mining our raw materials, producing our goods, maintaining our streets, protecting our homes, and possibly even governing our society. And since machines never tire and are prone to fewer errors, what other jobs will there be? Now, I don't doubt there will be jobs, but what form will they take? And, more importantly, will they pay enough to large swaths of people for them to live a decent life? Now, I don't claim to know the answer. I doubt anyone could predict it at this point. Labor markets as we know them just won't be able to function once machines are capable of doing so much more work than large groups of people. And even if those people don't work, they're still going to need money and resources. So how will they go about getting them? Answering this question has often led to discussions about universal basic income, which has actually become a more viable policy in recent years. But it still has plenty of critics. And yes, some of those criticisms are very valid. It seems like a simple solution, just giving every citizen a certain amount of money regardless of their station in life. But that simplicity underscores the sheer complexity of economics, politics, and life in general. And while I generally support some level of welfare for people, I think there's room for some supplementary policies. For that reason, I'd like to submit a policy that could be implemented with or without universal basic income. I call it the Individual Automation Matching Dividend, or IMAD for short. And the policy would work like this. 1. All adult citizens within the borders of a country will have a piece of identifying information, such as a social security number, a voter ID number, or a driver's license number, and have it turned into an unalterable digital token. 2. That digital token will be ascribed to one or multiple machines, robots, or androids that are performing a task that has been done by humans at some point in the past for payment, be it manual labor, service roles, or something of the sort. 3. The productivity and wages earned by these machines will be indexed to a minimum annual salary of approximately $80,000 in 2020 dollars, which will be adjusted for inflation on a yearly basis. 4. Any work done by these machines that exceed the value of that salary will be diverted to a national welfare fund to provide extra support for individuals who are sick, disabled, or otherwise in need of resources beyond that of a healthy adult. 5. No citizen will be ascribed more machines than any other, and any machine ascribed to them that is lost, damaged, or obsolete will be replaced in kind by the state. Now, I apologize if some of what I just described seems confusing. I tried to write this out like a lawyer or someone proposing a new policy to a future government. Now, for those who don't care for legalese, here's IMAD in a nutshell. Once you become a legal adult, you get your own perfect worker robot. That robot may take many forms, but for the sake of simplicity, let's say it's an android in the mold of what we saw in the movie I, Robot. They can work without rest, do everything a healthy adult can do, and has roughly equal intelligence to that of an ordinary human. You're given this robot by the government to basically act as your work avatar. So, instead of you going out to work every day to earn a living, this robot does it for you. The work this robot does will be compensated, but the money goes to you. Basically, you get paid for the work your android does. But it's more of a dividend than a wage. And remember, since the robot doesn't age or get tired, it can work 24/7, 365. In principle, you won't ever have to meet it, and if it ever breaks down or becomes obsolete, it's replaced or repaired by a public, not-for-profit institution. Think the post office, but for robots. A public utility that specializes in creating the robot workers that do the work that needs to be done. But it really does not matter what form the robot takes. They just have to be able to do the work that a typical adult human can do. And from there, it works all day and all night on whatever job requires labor, be it construction, assembly, shipping, farming, cooking, etc. You're just the one who gets all the money, up to about $80,000 a year. Now, why did I choose $80,000 a year? I did not pick that out of thin air. That's a figure ripped straight from a real-world case study from a company called Gravity Payments. Back in 2015, this company started paying all employees a minimum of $70,000 a year. And they based that figure on research that has shown that once people start making money beyond a certain point, their happiness doesn't really increase. Gravity Payments just took that idea and ran with it. Now, without getting too heavy into the data, I'll just say that the results, by and large, were overwhelmingly positive. With that kind of money, people at this company were able to create better, more fulfilling lives. They were able to buy a house, start families, plan for retirement, make investments, and even go on vacation. By both the data and the logic, it makes sense. When people have this kind of money to work with, they have the resources they need to forge prosperous lives. The idea behind IMAD is to mirror that by leveraging the added productivity afforded by automation and indexing it to both inflation and economic growth. It's not some large blanket package of money like universal basic income. It just starts with an individual, acknowledges the work they have historically provided for society, and supplements that with technology. In a sense, it also acknowledges the bond we have with our technology and tools, legally identifying them as extensions of our work. As such, the fruits of that labor is distributed in a way that's equitable, flexible, and with incentives for improvement. While the robots do the work, people have the money they need to pursue whatever they deem most fulfilling. Maybe some will become artists and writers. Maybe they'll become researchers and academics. Or maybe they just stay home, have children, and do arts and crafts all day. It really doesn't matter. It's entirely up to them because they don't have to worry about working for a salary just to live. Now, I'm not saying it's a perfect proposal. For one, it assumes one human-like android is enough. It also assumes that we'll be able to control the artificial intelligence necessary to operate them at a large scale and in the mold of a public utility. I'm certain there are plenty of other problems that I haven't thought of, But that's exactly why I'm sharing this idea. Surviving a future with intelligent machines and mass automation is going to be challenging. However, we just can't stop at surviving. We as a people want to prosper. We want to live, love, and build better futures for ourselves and our loved ones. Technology like automation, robotics, and AI can help us get there, but only if we use it wisely. It's still a big if, but it's one worth working towards. Thanks for watching, everyone, and thanks for joining me in my world. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and until next time, take care and stay safe.